Welcome to Flat Out Elected. This is Rand Campbell. And this evening, we've got a guest, a friend of mine, a new best friend from Toronto, Canada. This is my very good friend, Focused, and he is a truther slash rap artist out of Toronto, Canada. And we're going to talk about, first of all, how we met. But I want to, first of all, wait until a few people start gathering here. Let's see what kind of guests we have in this chat area at this point. Agree to disagree. This is the Crimson. What's going on, my brother? How are you, sir? We're going to start the chat off. Basically, we're going to talk about how we found each other here in the Dominican Republic. Because as most of you know, I reside here in the DR, in the Dominican Republic. And where I'm at is a resort area of the Dominican where a lot of people come from Canada, the US, Britain, from all over the world. And typically, excuse me, typically, most people that reside here or that are more than just snowbirds or long-term are Canadian. So it was very interesting how I met my new Canadian friend. And we're going to talk about how I met him. And we're going to talk about, you know, the happenstance of which you guys all know I don't believe in coincidence or happenstance. But we're going to have a very nice discussion tonight. We're both sitting here in the Dominican Republic, and we're going to spend some time talking about different things like Canada, what's going on in Canada, how it correlates with what's happening in the U.S. and this new world order that we see unfolding before our eyes. And as well, we're going to talk about his ministry where he does a lot of truth rap. We're going to get into some 9/11 stuff. We're just going to have a discussion. We're actually about 2 feet from each other, so it's not like he's in another zone. We're literally right next to each other. So I want to introduce you. This is my brother. This is Focused. Say hi, Focused.
Hello, everybody.
And we're in the DR. I mean, it's not getting any better than this, man.
No, shirt is I'm dressed up tonight put a shirt on.
Oh, you put a because
usually it's no shirt and it's just shorts, couple pairs of shorts and
that's what I'm at. You know what? I hate socks. I'm to the point now in the DR. I don't even need to think about socks because to me it just turns me into a walking furnace. Like I get so hot, bro.
Yeah.
But you know what? The beauty about the DR is that it's a nice heat. Like the heat here is really, really nice, man. It's not like, you know, in Canada. I think this weekend my buddy was telling me it was
45 degrees.
45 degrees. And now that's without the Humidex.
Yeah.
So you probably hitting close to 50 something over in Canada right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Insanity. And at the same time in Newfoundland, it's -3 and snowing.
In Newfoundland right now.
Yeah.
Aye.
So to say that nothing's going on, it's just like you're
boggled, right?
You're closing your eyes.
So there's global warming in Toronto.
Yeah.
But it doesn't exist in Newfoundland.
No, it's not happening. No. Don't worry about that.
That's hilarious.
Go back to your TV.
Right.
Just watch whatever reality shows.
Yeah, watch reruns of Oprah.
Don't worry what's happening. Just keep locked into the tube, right?
Yeah, locked into
tell your vision.
Right, tell your vision and your idiot box and because you know, heaven forbid anybody in today's world would want to wake up enough to actually take a look at what's going on in the world.
No.
You know what I mean, bro?
No.
So at any rate, this is my buddy Focused. I see that a few people have come in. Let me say hi, Crimson, Lee, Brad, Pat. How are you, brother? James Hicks Boson, how are you, sir? True Christian. Hey, man, what's going on, True Christian? Wills is in the house. Hey, let me give out, you know what? I'm going to give out some wrenches here because you guys have been with me long enough. You deserve some wrenches. Everybody that got here early is getting a wrench. That's a gift. Just a second. Why can't I give you a wrench, True Christian? CBA, what's going on, sir? How are you? Okay, I gave out a couple of wrenches. So let's talk about what happened over the last 2 weeks when we were sitting down at the Casetta, down at the beach. So here's what's happening. I'm sitting down at the beach where, you know, kind of having an evening of relaxation, and a friend of ours that we both know but didn't know each other. You and I didn't know each other at the time, but our mutual friend introduced us, and we got talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. Because
you're having I won't say what, but you have an association to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I won't divulge what that is, but you are associated with the Leafs and the Raptors. So we got talking a little bit of sports because I used to be a sports fan. And that led to me telling you something about where I grew up, which was Mount Albert, Ontario.
Yeah, and that just sparked my...
Because we went to the same high school.
Yeah, which...
But
down here in the DR, like to meet somebody that actually went to your own high school is just like, what? Really?
No, don't forget that's like 30 years difference. So it's not like it's not like we had the same math teacher,
but still the same high school.
Same high school, but it's incredible because we're that many years apart. We're sitting in the DR together, and all of a sudden we find out that we both went to the same high school.
Yeah.
But then it gets even crazier because many years later, I had a condominium in downtown Toronto on the Queensquay. Turns out the condo that I had, I left that condo. I dumped that condo back in 2006, 2007. Turns out he ended up having that condo after me. He lived in that condo many years later. So there's the
same building, because there's 3 condos. If anybody's from Toronto, they know they're called the 3 Ugly Sisters.
Yeah,
I've seen them. And if anybody's from Toronto knows exactly where that is, it's right in front of the Sky Dome, south of the Gardner. You can't miss them. And good friend Randy here was living in the exact same condo.
Yeah.
So not only the high school, but the condo. So right away we lit up and we were like, connected
right away. We're like, all right, we got something to talk about.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that we're both conspiracy believers. We're both truthers. Now, it's interesting because, you know, you find out you went to the same high school, you grew up in pretty much the same area, you end up in the same condo later on in life, then you meet up in the Dominican Republic, and we're both in agreement, at the very least, that this world is not what they say it is.
Oh, absolutely.
And what was the one that brought you to open your eyes up to this truth, to the fact that this world is greatly deceived, or at least they're not being honest about a lot of events?
The first thing that really triggered me and really triggered my music career was the G20 in Toronto.
I remember that.
And luckily I have a media pass. So a friend of mine, we went down there on the Saturday, and we were just filming. You know, I always film the police, and we're just gathering stuff. I just like gathering footage when things go. Everybody was down there, you know, with their cameras and stuff like that. And there was one specific clip. If everybody remembers, there's this one clip where the cop is in the kid's face.
I remember that.
And he said, "This isn't Canada anymore."
That's right.
I was in the background shooting my angle. And so the next day we came back on the Sunday, and that's when everything went haywire.
Right. I remember the G20 was a madhouse.
The Saturday was, actually I was working a TFC game, a soccer game. So I was away from it on the Saturday, and I saw the smoke going up far in the distance of those 2 police cop cars that went out, right?
It's that fire room.
Yeah. So the next day, we went out to just film what was going on. So the beginning of the day was kind of like the same as the first day, you know, see people trolling around and just stopping people from going certain places. And there was a couple of kids with the backpacks, and they wouldn't let them through. So we just started recording this interaction, and then that clip that soundbite became pretty famous. It was all over the news. And then my buddy sent me a link and said, we're on the news, like we're in the background, we were with our camera and stuff like that. So I started collecting footage all day, and I waited it out. My friend went home, and I stayed downtown, and I noticed some very particular weird things that were going on, and I got caught in the rain. If everybody remembers that specific Sunday,
and they made them stay in a crowd in the rain.
So I got caught kind of on University and Queen there, where the Chum building is, and they started locking down University, and then they had a huge clash on Spadina. And what they were doing is they were pushing, corralling, and anybody that was just in the vicinity, they're picking them off, throwing them in this old studio down on Eastern, and just throwing them.
They actually made it a makeshift jail
in cages and locking them up like animals, pretty much, right? So I was collecting all this footage and all that stuff. Prior to that, 10 years prior to that, I've been working with an artist, a friend of mine, and he didn't really want to do the music anymore, so he was kind of fizzling out with him. So I started writing my own. I felt really strongly that I wanted to do this, but I didn't have any ideas or anything really, right? So that moment kind of triggered me, and I was starting to think, like, this is not normal. This doesn't seem normal. There's something going on here, you know? And so I had like a few instrumentals, and then the next 2 weeks I went away to Italy, and that moment just kind of triggered me, and I had a beat with like a bass line that my friend made, and I'm like, that's kind of like a Rage Against the Machine kind of song, right? And so it all came out. I started writing, and I wrote about this incident. And then when I got back from Italy, I basically put this whole album together, and the moment came to me about what I wanted to title it, and it was called Free to Choose. So it's like it's kind of like a sarcastic title. It's like you're free to be ignorant, you're free to be awake or whatever, free to do whatever, right? And the cover is interesting because it was my mother. She gave me this picture, and it's a picture of show me a book, but I got the cash in front of my face, and it's weird because I was holding the cash, and it was like kind of covering the one eye. Just a weird picture. It was a weird coincidence, right? So I'm like, that's the cover, and so that incident basically triggered me and started me looking into things and stuff like that, because I'm always like questioning, and I'm always just looking for the truth, you know, and I was 30, you know, so at that age you're really kind of like figuring out what's going on.
You're ready at 30. You're kind of ready. You've heard enough of the lies and the deceit.
Yeah.
That you're starting to kind of open up to the possibility.
Yeah.
That you might be wrong about
what's going on. Right. What's going on? So I just started. It started building from there, really, and the ideas started coming out, and I just started creating these ideas for songs and stuff like that. And once I finished the album, after the fact, these things that I sung about were kind of materializing. Like it was almost like I had a preconception of what was going to happen later, right? And then all these things started coming out, and I got real good rapport from this song, and people were kind of like, hey, coming up to me like, hey, yeah, this is some truth, you know, you're talking about some real stuff here. And so I knew I was on the right path, and I knew that this was kind of like my calling into music. And the name Focus was given to me by a buddy way back in 1999, and he's just like, you're really meticulous about your stuff, you're focused. So
it fit.
It just
okay, let me just intervene.
Yeah.
So my brother here is a rap artist in Toronto. He does a lot of music. He writes his own music. He doesn't use vulgarity. He speaks about truth. He speaks about, the things that are beginning to unfold in this world. And so he does have a desire, or at the very least, an open mind. He doesn't suffer for incidents in that he's interested in, what's going on in this world, and all of this truth is beginning to unveil. So what I want to do now is I want to talk about 9/11, because we're going to get into flat Earth. I just want to work our way into, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So 9/11, I'll tell you exactly what happened to me, brother. I had an office on Yonge Street, downtown Toronto, the corner of Yonge and Wellesley. And I pulled into my parking lot across the street, and the parking lot attendant was like, "Mr. Campbell," like, "How you doing today, sir?" He goes, "Good. Did you hear what happened?" I go, "What?" He goes, the trade centers have been hit by airplanes. I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, New York City's under attack." So I went into my office. I had a TV. I turned it on, and we're watching. And I swear, God is my witness. We're watching this, and I'm thinking to myself,
like a movie.
Yeah, I'm like, hold a second. Something's not right here. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. It seems more orchestrated than just what I'm looking at. And so somebody in my office was like, "Oh my God, look, Mr. Campbell, look what's happening, blah, 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 blah." And I said, "Settle down. You got to be very cautious as to how you receive anything from a television. You have to be very, very skeptical, because you don't know what they're up to." And I had already had pre-information in respects to New World Order, aliens, and all of these things. And I was already a moon hoax landing believer. I didn't never believe that we landed on the moon. And I saw that too, by the way, in 1967 on a black and white TV.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to whoever I was with there, "Come on, how did we land on the moon?" And so I've always had kind of the similarity where I've always had that kind of a
question.
Yeah, man, I'm not just so quick to believe every single thing that I see coming through a TV. I can't do it, bro. I can't do it. I've never seen Star Wars. I've never seen Star Trek. I've never seen E.T. I've never seen Battlestar Galactica. I've never seen any of these things. They just absolutely zero interest, bro. So let's get to 9/11. Let's talk about what is it about 9/11? Because when you started looking at 9/11, because for me, 9/11, for the deceivers, 9/11 was the Achilles heel. That's that one shot. I'm an ex-boxer, so that one shot that, stuns the guy, and you got him now, even if you don't knock him out with that shot, he now knows, And so I think the for the moment for the deceivers is 9/11. I think that one there, up until then, I mean, they had JFK, which people call a conspiracy, but that wasn't the Achilles heel. Not enough people cared. Then there's, the moon landing hoaxes. That's, decided on 50-50, or some people believe, some people don't believe. But the truth is that 9/11 is the Achilles heel of truth.
Yeah.
It broke them, bro. That started a wave of wake up.
Can of worms.
Can of worms. It opened up that can of worms, right? So would you say that 9/11 for you was one of those aha moments?
Yeah, because I'll tell you one thing. My very first job ever was a news camera operator. So I know, like, if there's a good picture on the internet, it's like the camera focusing in on a specific thing, where it's a guy chasing another guy, and then it closes in on it, and it looks like the opposite, where the guy's stabbing the other guy who's getting chased. It's a really famous picture, and it's like within the box, you see what you see, but you don't see around the box. You don't see around the frame. You don't see everything that's going on around the frame. And the first thing that caught my eye with all the footage was, damn, this is a lot of professional footage. Like, this is, and because I'm a professional camera operator, and I know that right then and there, like, and I'm 21 too, right? So you're just still kind of going through a lot of stuff at that age. It's like, man, this is a movie. This is like, seems like a movie, you know,
because the footage
is amazing.
was professional.
It's professional. So this is before like HD footage or anybody had cell phone cameras or any decent quality cell phone camera footage. And the thing that really stood out to me was, okay, the plane hits at 8 something. I don't know. I don't remember the exact time of the first one. And then it was pretty quick between the next one, right? It wasn't even an hour. So what I noticed about the second one is that there was a lot of cameras on roofs. And I know that you need to have a specific type of lens to get in that close.
Right.
To get that tight, right? And like a locked off shot, nothing shaky, nothing grainy. So either there's some good cameras already set up or they were set up.
Or they were already there.
Or a good broadcast camera takes to haul everything up there and to set it up, that takes a few hours. That's not just.
So you think that the media was aware, or at least a good portion of the media, at least that part of the media?
Yeah, well, the one thing that threw me off too, and I really didn't notice it until after, because there was just so much chaos and so much footage you're coming in, just like coming at you at all angles, is that one with Building 7 where they announced it that it was going down first, and then
wasn't it a British newscaster?
And it happened after.
It was like, yeah, because in the scene it's behind her.
Yeah, intact. And they're like, Building 7's gone down, and then it's like, because I wasn't thinking of it then at all because there's so much going on, and then you look at it after, it's like, Jesus, holy smokes, you know, like what? And then yeah, it just seemed like a movie to me. So
like, basically, the flaws give you the question, or at least give you the desire to question.
Yeah, and then there was an enemy right away.
Like this, right?
Right away, like bang.
The passport
footage of this guy right away.
Yeah, the passport, unsinged, unharmed, fell from the towers or from the airplane.
Yeah.
And landed right in front of an FBI agent.
Yeah.
It's
like, and then like, where did you get this footage from? Like Bin Laden in a cave. And the one thing that really, Bill Cooper, I never knew about him until much later. But he brought up a really good question. It's like, okay, this guy is heavily guarded. He's in a cave somewhere. Do you think a little camera crew can get to him? Like, how did just a camera operator and, reporter get there and have this footage right away? And it was really, but I kind of got wrapped up in the emotion of what happened to the people. Like, I got kind of emotional, and what hit me was after, when the people were coming out and say, have you seen my family members, and that kind of hit me, because I'm a people person, and that kind of just like,
but that's what they do though. But that's what they do, folks. They heartstring pull.
Yeah.
They're always going to do that. They're going to pull at your heartstrings. They're going to have the crying.
Oh yeah.
The crying victims. They're going to have the wailing babies. They're going to have
money shot.
The money shot. Right?
Oh yeah moments.
The oh yeah moments. They're going to have that, because you have to pull the heartstring in order to get people to believe, because the heart is so deceived that people just believe whatever is being presented to them on CNN, MSNBC, whatever these. So that's why they do that, and they get people, because even, I'm not going to mention it because I'll get flagged, but there's all these different hoaxes where they use children. And if you say, oh, that's a hoax, the first thing they say, oh, those children. And they lose their minds.
Yeah.
Because their hearts have been pulled as a result of all the children.
You're emotionally attached.
Which is exactly what they're doing right now with these separated children from the Mexican parents. And they're pulling at heartstrings, and they do it to lock you into the indoctrination of the deception.
Yeah, because you're attached emotionally, and then now you have an emotional attachment to it.
And you can't let go.
No, you can't.
And if you try to wake somebody up and tell them, look, and you realize what you believe is untrue, they immediately go to that emotional handcuff. And they're like, you're insane. How cold of a human being could you possibly be? People died.
Yeah.
People died. I know, and people would say to me, I know somebody that was in the towers. I know somebody that was in the trade centers. I go, really?
Yeah.
Really? You know somebody?
Yeah.
Really? You know? What's her name?
Yeah.
Well, it's a friend of my buddies. His friends, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, brothers, garbage men's newspaper.
Yeah.
Delivery boy. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
Because people, they have to justify their belief because the indoctrination and the heartstring pulling just handcuffs them to the deception. And, and that's a big part of this.
What really got me was how fast everything moved after that. It was all that the scare with the anthrax stuff, and it was just like fear perpetuation.
Fear mongering.
And right as all that was going on, actually, that happened, and then I got hired as a news camera operator a month after that. So everything that unfolded after that, I was seeing in the news and covering. You know, you're going to these offices where they clearing everybody out because somebody gets a suspicious letter and all that stuff. And I was like, what? Where did this go from this to that? And then all of a sudden, it was like 2-3 months later, it's like, oh, they bombed the crap out of Afghanistan for 2 weeks. And then they're going to war with Iraq. Like, what? Like, how did that get to one place and to another?
Right.
And that's actually the last protest I ever really went to, was that Iraq protest, where everybody actually got out and said, what are we doing? Why are we going to this? And actually, I was actually proud of John Chrétien, where he said, no, this is your war, America. We're not involved. And I was proud to be a Canadian
in that moment, because it sounded like he was standing up for something.
Yeah, it's like, we're not going to be involved in this stuff. This is not, we're not. And then all of a sudden, it's like,
they are involved.
2 years later, correct me if I'm wrong with the exact dates, like 3-4 years later, he was caught with all these lies and corruption, all that, which, they all are.
They're all puppets.
They're all puppets. But he was out, and then Paul Martin came in for like a month, and then all of a sudden we had another election in Harper's in.
Harper's in.
So Harper's in, and then all of a sudden he comes in, and we're joining them in Afghanistan. It's like, what?
But you understand that Chrétien was removed, and they put a temp in at the temp, and then they bring in their fall guy. They bring in their puppet.
Yeah, Paul Martin was there for like...
he was a fill-in.
He was like the finance minister, and then he filled in for 2 months. And then all of a sudden, we got Harper in, and all of a sudden, we're going in, we're getting involved, and I'm like, no, we're Canadians. We don't do this. We don't.
It's not typical of us.
We're not typical of participating in wars and anything like that. It's like, why are we over? What are we doing over there?
Because the puppets of the New World Order are now being placed in the correct positions of power. Yeah. So being in the media, I have to ask you a question. What is the compartmentalization? What is the separation from you at your level of media to the broadcaster, to the guy with the microphone, the anchor, and the people at the top that call the shots of what is allowed to be news and what isn't?
So I'll tell you how it goes down. So every morning it's 9 o'clock, and it's called the bullpen. So everybody sits in the office, and you sit at your long tables and the desk, and everybody just grabs a newspaper. And reporters are lazy, and they're even more lazy now. They just grab a newspaper, they grab an article, and they just throw their own spin on it. So it's just like broken telephone almost, kind of, right? So they get their spin, and then that goes off that, and then that goes off that. So you go out, you figure out what your story is. The reporter goes out with the camera operator, and we get our story, come back. The reporter sits with the editor, goes through the clips, and they have their story, and then it's proved. If anything crazy happens in the day, then that becomes the new news story. That becomes the top story. And then you go to air or live to record. Like, you have it half hour before.
Right.
Do it. And it's almost just kind of fit for time, you cut some stuff out, and then it goes to air. And then, so I've seen how it was all put together, and what I noticed was that everybody's just picking up off of everybody else.
Well, that's why. Have you seen where the news reporters, the anchors, will say the exact same phrase with a bit of a twist.
Yeah.
For instance, they'll say Harley Davidson brought out a new motorcycle today, and then 50 news stations will have the same script, and they'll say today Harley Davidson put out a new motorcycle.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, a new motorcycle came out with Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
A new motorcycle with Harley Davidson today, and they have, you can go through all the different report, and it's the exact same story, and they just twist it a little bit and put it in there, like you said, in their own way.
The medias are tiers, right? So you have the major networks, and then they have the affiliations, and then the smaller affiliations in the smaller towns, right? So they're just getting this stuff from the top tier, and then they're making their own little twist to it. So basically,
but they have to stick with the script.
Yeah, and also as well, a lot is dictated by either the local police or the government. So you get faxes and saying, we're going to cover this press conference, we're going to cover this press conference. In the media, you're basically told what to do and what to cover.
Right.
You really don't have too much say on what you're going to cover, and the program director basically okays it and puts it all together. So
wow.
For me, I was very young and impressionable. I was very eager, and I was ready to do anything. So I was like, okay, I'm doing this, and I'm developing my skills. I'm getting better and stuff like that. And then it just became so much negativity because I was talking to politicians who are, there's a PR person that takes your questions, and they scan the questions, and they're like, no, you can't say this, can't ask this, can't ask that.
Really?
So, yeah. And then it comes out edited, right? So, and then after that, it just almost seems like you're not telling everybody what's going on. It's like,
so they've got a script.
Yeah.
And we get to know what they let us know.
Yeah.
And in the way that they let us know it.
Yeah.
So would you say that there's compartmentalization? In other words, throughout the media industry, which we know is very corrupt and very deceptive, that there are some people that know this and others that are left in the dark, and then as you go down to the bottom,
it's like the bank, right? It's like you don't know what the person above you's doing. You really don't,
It's all compartmentalized.
Yeah, you're just like you're doing your own thing. You're kind of in your own area, and you do your thing, and then your story comes out. And then,
so being in the media, you understand, that it's really entertainment.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of. So here's the thing. I used to drive in the morning, and I'd see a lot of accidents, right? So by the time I got to the station, they would send me out to the accident, and it was done. It was already the story was already done. So I convinced them that for me to have the van overnight. I said, why don't you let me have the van and then the camera, so when I come in, I might see something and grab something.
Right.
And I did. So on my way in, I was getting accidents, like footage of accidents. So I was bringing them footage before the day was even started, right? So it was just so much of that, and so much of like the fakeness of people. And I noticed that a lot of people that work there for a long time are just getting bitter and resentful, and just a very toxic environment of negativity. And I saw a lot of bad stuff. Like I saw car accidents where people were dead, and I saw all this stuff, and it was just a ball of negativity that was building up in me. And there was one week in particular where I saw a 4-car pileup, and there was actually like a decapitated person, and I was sick to my stomach, right?
Right.
And then there was another moment where it was there's a helicopter school in King City, and we were doing like a press op. So it's like some high school kid was doing police chief for a day. So we're there, they got the helicopter there, we're shooting in, and in the background, this helicopter goes and crashes into the ground, and I got it all. like all this footage.
Right.
So right away, my human instincts kicked in, and I turned the camera off. And I was thinking, is that person dead? Are they all right? My human instincts kicked in and turned it off. And then I thought, oh shoot, I got to keep rolling because this is my job. So I went out to the field, and the guy came running out, and he's like, no, you can't shoot it. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to see if they're all right first, and I backed off.
Right.
So what you do is you call into the station, you report what's going on, and they're like, okay. So everything changed that day. That became the top story. So they're like, so when you start getting to be a camera operator and you get better with the equipment and stuff like that, you go and do things that are called copy clips. So you hold the camera and you hold the microphone out like that, and you interview everybody, right? Or whatever the subject you need to interview. So they said you need to get an interview from either the police chief or the fire chief or something like that. And I'm like, nobody wants to talk. Nobody's going to talk. They made me stay there for 3 hours all day until I got a report or an interview, and nobody gave an interview. So I came back with the footage with no interview, and I was 22. So if that was me now, I would tell them where to go, you know?
Right.
And so they made me stand in front of the van and interview. And I felt so uncomfortable. I felt so used and so like
Taking advantage.
Dehumanized. You
Right.
know what I mean? And they didn't care. They just wanted that eyewitness clip. And I knew right from there, like, this is like, it's brutalization sells. Like, they're not going to lead with the puppy story.
No, of course not. They want whatever, like back to the pulling of the heartstrings.
Yeah.
They want to create
shock and awe.
Absolutely. They want people to be in a consistent state of fear, anger, and depression.
And they know people are curious because it's like the rubbernecks, right? When you drive by on the highway and you see an accident, everybody just naturally.
Well, they've created that. Nobody
in turns, you know.
The empathy of humanity is becoming lost to truth, and people are more in empathy of what I believe to be deception. So let me ask you this, because I've seen a lot of this focused. I've seen footage where they're not even at the scene of whatever said event is. They're doing a green screen.
Yeah.
So you've seen that as well?
Yeah, I've seen that where they've reenacted stuff and not sometimes just because they can't be there. But then I started to realize how things are put together and all that. And it was just a ball of negativity that was building up in me. And I actually went home and my stepmother, she was like, how was your day? And I just started crying on her shoulder. I just let it all out. And she said something to me that I'll never ever forget. She's like, you have compassion for people. She's like, you have, you're not like them. You're not bitter. You're not. And that just resonated with me. And then I went back the next day, and it was a couple of things that kept happening. And there was one specific thing where they wanted me to go out and get footage, right? So I said, okay, it's going to take me 15 minutes. They're like, oh, we need you to drive from Richmond Hill to Newmarket, which is like 30 minutes.
Right.
So I said, well, it's going to take me a little bit of time, and it was a blizzard out. So they said, I don't care. Do it in 20 minutes and get back. I'm like, so you want me to speed in dangerous situations, put my life at risk, and then and come back so you can get your precious footage, So I went out, and I was actually listening to Nas. And he came out with this album called Stillmatic, and I was listening to one of the songs, and I was just like, I just started crying again, and I was just like, screw this, man. I turned the car around, went back, took the keys out, took the keys, the tape, and I went back into the office, into the bullpen where everybody's scrambling. It's time to get the stories done. And it was like a freeze moment, and everybody stopped. And I looked at all of them, and I said, you're all scum. Screw you. And I spit on the floor, and I threw my tape down and everything. and I quit. I stormed out. And for a while, I thought all television was like that. I thought it was, you know, like all bad. So I took a year off, and then I got back into it, working at another station, and then I got into sports, and I've been in sports ever since.
But you have a good career with sports.
Yeah.
Now I know that sports are not what we think they are as well. That there's a lot going on.
Oh, it's used as a tool
to indoctrinate and to distract.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I noticed after a while that sports, because it's on all year, you got hockey and basketball for a specific amount of time, and then you got baseball overlaps with it, with football. And then I realized, meeting a lot of older gentlemen who they have nothing but sports statistics in their head, and it's filling up their whole lives. And I'm like, this is a way to keep the average man distracted all year round.
All year round.
Useless statistics in your head and just useless information of just, you know.
Yeah, I like talking to guys. I say to them, look, are you a hockey fan? They go, no, I'm a sports fan.
Yeah.
Golf, baseball, hockey, football, boxing, UFC, and they can't get enough. It's like they're just so consumed
of sports and just.
And I love when people say my team. And so somebody said to me recently about the NFL and said, "Oh, my team," and they're from Toronto. I said, "Your team."
Yeah.
I didn't know you owned a football team. They go, "No, the New York Jets." I'm like, "New York Jets? You don't own them."
Yeah.
Well, no, but it's my team. I go, "You're not even from New York."
Owner?
Yeah. I said, "You ever been to New York?" They go, "No." I go, "Well, how are they your team?"
Yeah.
But that's exactly what's happening. The same thing with science. I hear people say all the time, "Oh, we found out, or we discovered, or we figured out, or we can do this." Or I'm like, we.
Yeah.
How we? You don't. You're not a scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's we. No, not we.
Yeah.
Them, and they're lying.
Yeah.
So now that we're got through that, I just want to tell the viewers that Fogus is a very good young man. He's got a good mind. He's got a good heart. I'm really thankful that God put him in my life. I'm really thankful. So now we're going to talk about another subject. Now that we've kind of broken the ice, what am I known for here in this place we live? Don't name the name of the town. Flat Earth, right? Oh, there's the Flat Earth.
Flat Earth, yeah.
Yeah, there's the Flat Earth guy. So we've had a few discussions about Flat Earth. Nothing deep, nothing penetrating.
No.
But what are your thoughts? Because you've obviously seen it all over the internet. You've obviously witnessed, at least watching some of the videos and looked at some of the content. What is your initial thought about Flat Earth?
So it goes back to that apartment that we lived in.
Right.
In 260 Queen Ski. I don't know what unit you had or where you faced. You faced the side of the building or what unit were you in? Do you know? Do you remember?
I was on the main floor. I was 206. The
206?
Second floor. So when you come in the lobby where security is.
Yeah, yeah.
I had my own outdoor patio.
Yeah. And like the first four have patios. Yeah.
Yeah. I had my own great big, massive patio that I shared. There was 4 other units that had the same. It was like a garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was 2002, which is full view of the lake, beautiful, like 180 view of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
So I started getting turned off of. I've never owned a TV. I'll be there, right there. That's I work in television. I've never owned a television. I never have a television in my house because I've worked in television. I know the nonsense that goes on behind the scenes, and I just have enough of it at work that I don't need to see it. I don't need to be entertained like that, right? So I would come home, and working the sports games is very, very high energy, right? So you're getting that energy of the crowd, and I'm right with the players, and you're getting that energy when you come home. So it takes quite a while to wind down. So I would sit in the dark and just start turning on YouTube clips, and I just started watching. And one movie that actually really triggered it all for me was They Live.
They Live.
Roddy
Piper.
And you know what? It set me off when he died. It was like a weird thing where he died, he tweeted something saying this is a documentary. And then he died like 4 days later. So I looked it up, and this movie came out, and this movie just sucked me in. It just
I'll bet you
grabbed
the people in the chat area here have seen that movie.
My favorite B movie, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. So that really kind of set me down the rabbit hole, you want to say, right?
Right.
So, and then that's when I started developing my new album. And then so the idea started coming, and I just started going down every avenue, just like following, and I was just, and then I started discovering some of the flat Earth content, and it was very intriguing and romantic to me that it's like, you know, I'm always a truth seeker, and so it was something very appealing, right? It was just like, okay, this is interesting. This is a different perspective that I've never heard before. This is, you know, and I was always into like, I was always kind of questioning the footage from the moon landing and all that stuff.
Of course,
and I was just ridiculous. Like, okay, and so it led me down this path, and then I was getting into everything, and I was really kind of like becoming reclusive, you know, and I was just kind of delving into. So I was like posting tons of stuff, and I was losing friends left, right, and center.
Of course,
and like I was losing all my friends, and like I noticed that people weren't like, they're calling me out on Facebook and stuff like that, and I started losing a lot of friends. But I just really started opening myself up to everything, and just kind of like, hey, you know, like, and then that just led me down all these other avenues where I was really getting into it, and then I was just kind of consuming my thoughts a little too much, and then I just kind of had to back away a little bit and just take another outside perspective.
Well, it's good because I think one of the biggest errors that a lot of people in the truth community make is that they don't breathe outside of the truth. In other words, sometimes you've got to step outside and balance and align yourself.
Go for a walk, relax.
Right? And just, you know, I went off YouTube. I was on YouTube I think I've been on YouTube for 10 years now.
Yeah.
But my original YouTube I was in the great debate community of atheists versus Christians.
Yeah.
And so I would battle atheists day in and day out.
Yeah.
And it brought the worst out in me.
Yeah.
And
because
so,
arguments bring the worst out of everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. The trolling, the mocking, the insulting. Look, I'm a sharp guy. I got a sharp tongue. I can go toe to toe one-liners with anybody on the planet. So I seen myself doing that, and I thought, no, I got to get away. So I broke the channel down. I closed it. Took about a year off, and then came back up on YouTube and decided I was going to be more in the truth community because it was something that I felt led to do.
Yeah.
And so, I got together with some people with this channel. We opened this channel up, and this is about 2014. And we realized, or 2015, or in around there, 2014, we opened the channel. 2015, we started realizing flat Earth. Mm-hmm. And I had already been a flat Earth believer for a much longer time than that, because I had watched stuff many years ago, and I thoroughly believe this world is greatly deceived. I don't believe a freaking word they say.
Yeah,
not a word they say. For me, they are liars. They are deceivers. They are con men. They are soul sellers. They're satanic. They're evil. They're demonic. And so nothing. I can't. My Bible says that the world is greatly deceived, and that Satan is the great deceiver. I don't have to go much further past Scripture for me to align it to the ways of this world and what I'm seeing taking place. To go, the Bible is the most accurate document that we have in the world, and it's the most accurate writings according to what I'm going to see in this world. So the Bible, by the way, is a flat Earth book.
Yeah,
100%. It talks about ends of the earth. It talks about God says the earth takes shape like a seal in clay. You look at the seal in clay, it looks like looking down onto a pizza. It says God looks at the circle of the earth, not the ball. So absolutely 100% for sure, if you're going to take God at his word, mm-hmm. of which I do, the Bible is a flat Earth book. So when I look at, we were at the beach earlier, and that horizon, that ocean is flat. Mm-hmm. The horizon means straight line.
Yeah.
If it's a 200-300 mile horizon, the Atlantic Ocean here in the Caribbean, we should see a bow or a curve from left to right. We don't see it.
Yeah.
You know, you see boats look as though they're going over a curve, and then you take a P900 camera and you can zoom it right back into focus. It didn't go behind a curve. It went out of our view. It went out of our ability to see it. So when you start looking at all of those things and you apply it to scripture, you really get an understanding of, wow, have we been lied to? That's a pretty big lie. And you start to think, well, how could they keep such a lie? And then you realize why you are.
Yeah.
If you're the one telling your kids and telling your grandkids that we're on a spinning wet ball rocket, they don't have to lie. You're doing it for them. Mm-hmm. And the more you lie is like the mother of all learning. The more you lie, the more you believe what you're saying. And so we have generations upon generations upon generations who have believed what they're saying because they have been indoctrinated to believe it. And they're sharing this deception as a truth to the next generation. And so when you really, really open your mind and come to know that, honest to God, this world is such a lie. It's so deceptive. It's so ugly and hidden behind new words that they're putting into the world, like, you know, tolerance and being offensive and all of these new key words. Gender and all this stuff that's creating this whole new false understanding of who it is that we are and that of which should define us, that the indoctrination of the deception has truly become the ingredient to the enslaved humanity that we live today. We are enslaved.
Yeah, I agree that just full deception for sure. It's, you know, you just ask yourself certain questions like, okay, the moon stuff came to me and I was like, okay, maybe they did go to the moon. And then there's the strong possibility that the cameras didn't last or they didn't make it. So there's a real strong possibility that the footage is fake for propaganda reasons, because it was a war. It was a war, a race war to see who can get there first, right? So,
that's what they told us.
Yeah. So
but that as well could be.
Yeah. So I don't know 100% sure if we did land on the moon or not, but it's very, very believable that a lot of the footage was fake. For propaganda reasons.
Well, and now, if you listen to NASA themselves,
yeah,
they say that we haven't been to the moon. NASA.
Well, there are facts. There are there are certain facts that that are there. The one fact is the Project Paperclip.
That's right.
It's like, okay, they got all the Nazi scientists to start NASA, and Werner von Braun was the head.
And on his tombstone,
so
he put Psalms about the earth being flat.
And then there was also, like, the things that really just stand out to me are like Neil Armstrong's weird.
Buzz Aldrin.
Just weird, like
Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, and they were the one footage that really kind of stood out was when they all came back and they were all at the press conference and they were kind of like
and they couldn't get the same answers.
Yeah,
they were asked about seeing stars.
Why would Neil Armstrong say something like it was like a ceremony thing for him, and it was like I don't know exactly what the quote is, sorry, but it was something like the truth will be unfolded to you or something. Like, why is he saying all this? Like, why? Mm-hmm. Like, why? And the other thing is, like, why haven't we been back? There's like a 3.
Well, they said they lost all of the footage.
They said they recorded over it. They said they didn't have enough magnetic strip, so they recorded over it. It's like, what? You had a presidential debate that was more important than the most
prolific moment
in ever, and like, this is well before anybody could record anything or YouTube or anything like that. So you just saw it for that one moment, and you saw it live. Right?
And NASA says that they don't have the technology to go to the moon, and it's too painstaking to rebuild it.
Well, there's even people that
But yeah, they
actually
can hang a car in outer space.
about the Van Allen belt. They were saying too that
Well, the Van Allen belt, they can't get through it. They say, well, here's what I say. I say the Van Allen radiation belt is the dome. It's the firmament that God says He put over the earth. I believe we're under a dome, and they can't get through it. That's like Project Fishbone.
Another movie that really stood out was the Truman Show.
Right.
To me, was like,
right.
Yeah, because then all the reality shows came out after that.
Right.
And it was just, I saw a lot of things in television that were obviously deceptive, you know. And
of course.
It's like, and then here's another thing. I don't work for them anymore, so they can go F themselves. I work for a company that does all the entertainment in Canada. So I did the Big Brother show.
Big Brother Canada?
Yeah. So I did the first year, and they talk about dehumanization. And I looked at this, and I'm like, this is a social experiment to see how you can get people to freak out on each other. So I'll break this down to you here. You put them all in a room, and you tell them that there's 8 of them, whatever, let's just say 8 people, right? There's one special room, right? That the winner of the competition is going to get this room. So right away, you plot people against each other. And the producers on purpose set up these scenarios for people to start plotting on each other, right? And it was a very new show to us, and it was new to Canada. It was the 49th country actually to do it.
Okay.
And so there were all these junior producers and first-time directors. There was a lot of people just trying to impress, right? And one moment really hit me. So, sorry. The house is made, it's a made house. It's like and then on the outside of the house are all these two-way mirrors, like huge mirrors. And then on the outside of that are alleys, like little hallways with us camera operators. So we jockey around to other spots and stuff like that and get these moments, you know?
Right.
And so we're being told to get in there, and 99% of the time, nothing happens. People are playing cards and just talking and stuff like that. But the producers have to set up these scenarios where people are plotted against each other, and they have to beat each other out to get the prize, you know? So I started noticing a lot of this stuff. And one thing really hit me hard was these 2 contestants, they hooked up, fell in love, and, you know, a fling or whatever, right? So one guy, she blew him off, and one guy was like breaking down, right? So the producers had me go, he was in a room by himself. The producers had me go in there, zoom right in on his face of him breaking down, crying. And that hit me hard. I was like, this is awful. This guy had some real problems in his life, and they're using him. They're using him for television to get people to get in there, you know, and to view and stuff.
Pull at the heartstrings and indoctrinate the minds.
And I'll tell you one thing. It's called the money shot, right? So when you get that emotion, you get producers in the back going, yeah, get that. And I've seen it. I've been there. I've been with the producers row sitting there, and they're like, get that. We got the tearjerker shot. And they come in their pants with that stuff. They're loving that. So that, to me, hit me hard, and I was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to do this anymore. And so I saw a lot of that deception building up with television and the momentum of it. And I noticed after that it was a lot of competition reality shows. So the reality shows were meant for people to plot against each other.
Right.
And I saw this all formulating. And then you get Facebook comes out, and you get people's emotions being tugged and stuff.
Then they got the websites. So they got you hooked into that.
And then all of a sudden, we're getting riots out of nowhere, people like hating each other and stuff like that, and all this old stuff is coming out, and it's just pulling at the heartstrings. It's all these television shows.
It's puppeteering.
Yeah, these televisions, and then television just went to crap after that. It was just like,
well, no, people. Yeah, I looked at some stats earlier this week, and television has lost its zeal. People are
waking up.
Yeah, people are waking up. They realize that television.
Nonsense.
Well, the media is losing its position because of social media, and they're running out of ways to hook people in. Reality TV is almost done.
Yeah,
people are really done with.
Live television is almost done.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think the only thing that's actually holding on is there's some television shows that are apparently doing very well, and there are some movies.
Well, I was discussing with this before we went on air, saying live sports is going to be done soon. Like you have Major League Baseball are doing games on Facebook now and YouTube, and you have YouTube Live. Like we're doing this live. Now it's over for the broadcasters. Say goodnight.
Yeah, and the same thing with all of those anchors and all of those news reporters. They're to the point now where they're unnecessary.
Yeah,
I think some of the best reporters,
they don't report. It's like their point of view now.
Well, and it's scripted.
Yeah,
with their twist. Whereas you see a show like this, Flat Out Elected. I put out a video a day, or at least I try to, and I'm just giving honest to heart belief and truth of a world that is being deceived, and I tell things that you'll never see on the news.
You're not preaching too. You're not like this is.
No, I'm not ramming down.
You're not saying like this is what you have to believe. This is No, I'm just talking in a calm manner, and we're just having a discussion, and it's just like that's the way it should be. And now I find that news is just like, it's all opinion.
Oh, no, they're forcing
opinion.
You watch CNN, they're forcing the liberals to believe what their propaganda, what their agenda. In other words, you've seen that Senate member, whatever her name was, the black woman, doing a thing out in the street, telling people that if you see any of these Republicans in a restaurant or at a gas station on the streets, you yell at them and you tell them.
It's a mob mentality.
It's crazy, right?
My new album, the first line of my song is "Mobilize the mobs to democracy. Even if he's innocent, the masses will determine if he's free." So it's like I wrote this 2 years ago.
Wow. And
so released the album out last year, and now everything's just like kind of formulating. Like It's like it's everything I wrote. So I've been contacted by a publishing company, and the guy said specifically, he's like, we can re-release your album now. You released it a year ago, and now like everything's relevant that you're saying. It's like
very good.
Yeah.
So how can people find you on YouTube?
So you can find me at Focused Rap on YouTube. Like the word focus is a kind of a hard word to find on Google. So if you find Focused Rap on YouTube.
Focused, F-U-C.
F-O-C-U-S-E-D, rap, R-A-P.
R-A-P.
So you'll get that on SoundCloud. You'll get that on Bandcamp. You get that on Spotify. You get it on Apple. You get it on YouTube. I'm the same on my Instagram. It's all the same. Focused Rap, all across the board.
Okay, because I want people to sub to his channel, and I want people to listen to his music and support him. So I want to ask you. We're going to close up shortly, but I want to ask you, what is your moment right now? Opinion on flat Earth?
I don't know enough, honestly.
Would you be willing to do more research?
Yeah, hell yeah. I went, like I said, I was in it deep for a while, right? And I just don't know enough. I don't know enough to have a strong opinion. Honestly.
But you don't have cognitive dissonance.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm willing to listen to anything in any ways on both sides. I don't really have a strong opinion on it.
Okay. Do you believe that this world is being controlled by people that are serving Satan, or at the very least are appearing to be serving Satan?
It appears like that. It
Okay.
appears like that. I don't know exactly. It just seems like everybody's really weird, and and especially, you know, I don't want to jive on rap music or anything, but it just feels like a lot of artists are kind of just focused on materialism and violence, and it just
And Satanism. You see all the satanic symbolism,
really,
the all-seeing eye, and right.
I don't get it. Like, I kind of get it because it's like a materialistic agenda, and it just seems like a lot of people are selling out for fames and riches.
But here's what they're selling focused. I'm telling you what you trust. I've done the research. They have sold their souls. They're telling you.
Oh yeah.
Now it's up to us to believe that what they're saying is true. At the very least, that part that they're telling you they've sold their souls.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I showed you a video I had done where they talk, you know, I sold my soul to the devil.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was a crappy deal, but at least I ended up with a happy deal. That's Kanye West.
Yeah.
And then Katy Perry saying she wanted to be the next Amy Grant, but that didn't work out, so she sold her soul to the devil. So what I'm telling you is that absolutely 100% for sure, I've done the research. I have thoroughly done the research. And they have absolutely 100% sold their souls to the devil. And 100% this world, the God of this world is Satan. He earned dominion over this world in the Garden of Eden when we took on sin and gave up dominion of the world. And we have a inherited sinful heart. And so what I'm going to tell you, and we're going to close up, I want to tell you is that Jesus Christ is absolutely 100% for sure, exactly as the Bible describes him. You need a savior in order to come out of this. We'll call it a matrix. I call it a satanic ritual. You need Jesus Christ to come out of this in order to have your sins removed, cleaned, and spend eternity with the Father. So now I'm going to just do this. I want to thank you for spending this time with me. We're going to do this again. It was an honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You gave a lot of insight into the media world. You gave a lot of insight into a young man's journey of truth. And I thoroughly, thoroughly appreciate you as a friend.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very thankful we met.
Me too.
And it's cool, right?
Yeah, it's very cool. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, everybody. You know, I just want to help people, really. I want people to come together, and I just want people to just let a lot of bullshit go and just wake up and just, I think more like my new objective now is not really having a point of view or anything. I think the most important thing is just love each other and just like look out for your brother and your sister and your neighbor. And there's a lot of things you can't control in this world. And the things that, just me personally, the things that I can control is being nice to people as much as I can, listening to people, listening to all people's opinions. And the only thing I can do is really help my friends and family in a loving way. And that's how I stay focused. That's the angle I'm coming at right now, is just doing what I can within my reach, of just trying to be a good person, really. That's my main objective, really. So
now my closing statement is going to be that, yes, I agree, Savvy, that Jesus rules. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. However, Satan has a time here in this world of which he is the God of this world. And we are beginning to see this come to light clearer and clearer every single day. I ask that you guys sub to my friend's channel, look for him on YouTube and the internet, and continue to pray for this channel. I go through a lot of warfare, spiritual warfare, and a lot of attacks. As you see, let me look at the thumbs down already. I got 16 thumbs up and 77 thumbs down. How is that even possible? At any rate, I'm just going to pray the channel out real quickly, and we're going to call it a night. I want to thank you guys for coming and watching. I got a video that I'll be uploading tonight before I go to bed. It's a very powerful video, and like I said, I'll upload it before I go to bed. You guys will have it either late at night or you'll wake up to it in the morning. So let me just pray the channel out, and then we're going to close the channel for the evening and call this a hang up. Father God, I thank you for bringing us here today. I thank you for introducing me to my new friend, Focused. I am grateful and thankful that you bring people to my life that are at the very least open-minded enough to have the decency to have open discussions, whether we agree or disagree, but to not have cognitive dissonance, in that they're able to accept that some of the things that they don't believe may be true, and they may be able to bring things to the table that I'm unaware of that they could make true, of which would be true. I thank you, God, for all of your blessings. I thank you for your protection over this channel. I thank you for these amazing, wonderful, wonderful subscribers that you bring to me on a weekly basis. I thank you for having this platform that I'm able to bring truth to a world so greatly deceived. I ask that you continue to bless us and protect us in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you. Peace and love, everybody.
God bless you guys. You guys have a good night.